This program is presented by the Sarawak Tourism Board. Sarawak, the gateway to Borneo.
On this week's Hot List, future fallout. The country digests a high-profile conviction. Should the president free Nadiem Makarim? Exit strategy, why a national crisis is coming if the brain drain of young people isn't reversed. And on the ball, why do Indonesians flock to trends such as paddle tennis, a sport, or social media photo op? Hello and welcome. This is Hot Indonesia, the talk show of champions, and we are coming to you this day from the atrium, the beautiful atrium of the Beleza Shopping Arcade, home of the Indonesia Channel. I'm Dalton Tanonaka. Here are now my co-hosts. Yenny Wahid is director of the Wahid Foundation, which promotes pluralism. She is the daughter of the fourth president of Indonesia and a Pilates lover.
Yes.
And sitting in for Santiago Uno is Candice Anggunadinata, active sports promoter and entrepreneur. Hot topic number 1, future fallout.
Penjara selama 10 tahun dan pidana denda sejumlah 1 miliar.
As soon as he was sentenced on June 30th, Nadiem Makarim became the latest public rallying point. 10 years in prison and $45 million in restitution seemed shockingly severe to supporters, most saying he was innocent completely of corruption while a cabinet minister. Makarim is appealing the verdict. He has also filed an ethics complaint against the judges. So while his situation is now being debated in the media, what could happen now? For one, until his appeal is decided, which could take months or possibly years, nothing. Or the president could step in and grant what's called abolition here in Indonesia, as he did with the previous cabinet minister and others who was convicted similarly, and Nadiem would go free. Yenny, the president has done it before. I think he should do it again.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a friend of Nadiem, so I would love for that to happen. But realistically, I think the president has his hands tied. Because, you know, he's granted clemency in the past, right? In high-profile cases as well, like you mentioned, with Tom Lembong and all that. So naturally, people will ask whether the same principles will apply here, right? But the thing is, the public is actually divided over this case.
More so than the previous cases.
More so than the previous case. Because for some, you know, they believe that there were some procedural breaches in the case. And in terms of procurement, right? Some argue this, some argue this actually reflects a common challenge in the startup mentality, you know, startup founder mentality. They want quick execution, they want innovation, they want, like quick delivery, sometimes at the expense of procedures and administrative process. On the other hand, there's also, so far, with what we've seen from the, by this debates in the court, public debates, right? That there has not been any evidence that Nadiem has actually enriched himself.
Right. And as Thomas Lembong, a previous minister, no signs of money flowing into their bank account.
Exactly.
So that's why
that's why people react very strongly about this.
Nadiem has been an inspiration to young people as the co-founder of the motorbike taxi service GoJek, and to the thousands of drivers who got jobs.
Absolutely.
I mean, they multiplied fantastically. But the judges must have seen something, as you said. There must be something in there that resulted in the guilty plea. Candice, should Nadiem be freed on that basis for his service to the country, both in the private and the public sectors?
If you're asking about the presidential pardon should be given or not, I would be agreeing with what Ibu Yenny would say, like we have to wait until the legal process is complete, you know what I mean? But if you're asking me the question whether he should be given, this privilege or whatever you want to call it, based on his contribution to this country, then I would say yes, like a big yes. Because I don't come from politics. I don't have any backgrounds in politics whatsoever. So I would probably feel my answer would represent some of what my friends or, my age group kind of
millennials,
people,
Gen Zs.
Yeah. So you see, I think the bigger picture that we hear is that Nadiem was being put into that position somehow, which we don't know it's true or not. But because he's a smart guy, this guy is basically, changing he changed the lifestyle of people living in Indonesia.
Hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah, and he gives jobs to like people who actually was lower in education. Like these people wouldn't understand how to use an application to get a job or something like that. And this is not like a 9-to-5 job. It's very millennial Gen Z type of jobs, like you do whatever you want, it's a freedom given.
So that's why that's a basis for the president to stepping in for what he did for the public sector. Now, the government did explain in the previous cases that it was in the spirit of national unity that he did what he did and freed the previous minister. And I brought that up before on this program. But, that weakens. On the other side, I'm like you're a former journalist, that weakens the independence of the judicial branch when a president can basically overturn a ruling. In that sense, a possibly bad precedent. So, it's an ethical problem.
That's the dilemma, right? I mean, if the president keeps on intervening in the legal process, what's the point of having a court in the first place, right? But at the same time, you've seen cases in which corruptors actually were given very short or small sentences based on what we call here kelakuan baik or good conduct during the courts. I mean, like that's a joke, right?
Yeah.
And given what Nadiem had contributed to this country, I think that accounts as a big factor in giving him clemency in the future.
Instead him being there somewhere else, and instead of him being in with us here, contributing and, having his vision, whatever he thinks of changes that he wants to do or contribute, I think it's better to keep him with us, So,
and 10 years is a long time. 5 years is a long time, believe me.
Yeah.
It's any time in prison, it's not very productive. Now, last point, the judges did their job. No one can blame them because they did what they saw the evidence. They did what they did. I believe. Yeah. So it's now the choice of the president on what to do, unless he wins his appeal, which very rarely are appeals overturned in this country.
I think the problem here is with the prosecutors. I don't think they should be very light-handed in trying to indict someone over a case. And this has been the complaint of so many people, that they are very quick to make the arrests, even though there might not be any base on the case, right?
Well, I think they were very careful because this is a high-profile thing. Yeah. Last thing, Candice, if you were to say directly to the president from a perspective of a younger generation and Yenny or I, what would you say to the president?
I think if president really gives a favor to Nadiem, it's kind of like something hopeful we see, because it means that the president care more in some way for this person, for these young people to contribute, to be creative, and to just do something for the country, in a new way. I think, I think I want to say something like that. But other than that, I think the legal process should be,
We'll see, and hopefully.
I would say that he needs to protect both the justice and also public trust on the institution.
Yeah, and that's a tough balance.
That balance, yeah.
Yeah, and hopefully it won't take long. Now, Hot Indo will continue shortly with exit strategy, the danger if we don't stop the brain drain of young professionals.
here, everything is yours, everything is Gapura Prima. Everything is here, everything is yours, everything is Gapura Prima. Everything is here, everything is yours.
Kentanala sendiri merupakan sebuah brand fashion aksesoris yang kita menggunakan limbah kayu pabrik furniture sebagai bahan dasar dari pembuatan produk-produk kami. Banyak sekali hal-hal yang memang kita masih belajar, disitulah dirapihin sama Bu Reni. Bikin laporan keuangan, ada akhirnya momen untuk kita bisa presentasi langsung sama Pak Sandi Uno. Secara omset kita bisa naik lebih dari 80%.
You are watching Hot Indonesia with Yenny, Candice, and me. Here's hot topic number 2, exit strategy. It's not a new occurrence, the brain drain that sees young people heading overseas for better job opportunities. But surveys are showing the exodus is not slowing down here, with the government reporting a youth unemployment rate of 16%, more than 3 times the overall percentage. Researchers estimate the number of young professionals leaving the country each year to be in the tens of thousands. Now compare that to Singapore, which reports a brain gain of talent. They get more people coming in. Candice, you began your post-university career, if I remember, at an international bank.
Yep.
You wanted to be a banker. Did you think about leaving as some of your friends did?
Well, if you ask me if I had the chance before to choose between working in Indonesia or abroad, I would prefer abroad. Easy as that to answer.
And why?
Well, because, my background was international school. So, of course, I would work somewhere international. I mean, outside Indonesia. First is, I think, to gain a new experience. To also independence in some ways, because I would live alone without my family and so. And third is because I'm used to work in an international environment where people are more competitive in some sense.
But there are multinational companies here. You could find it here, as you did.
True,
That's why you started at the bank, local branch, and money. I mean, the salaries are higher overseas. That's a number one for most people. Maybe it's unfair to compare Singapore to us because we're a developing economy. Singapore is a different situation. But we've been developing for so long. Everyone keeps saying our potential is so huge. We haven't reached it yet. Yenny, local companies have got to step up to retain local talent.
Well, young people nowadays, they're looking for 3 things, right? The first one is opportunity, of course. There's a good opportunity with a good salary. They probably will take it here. And also meritocracy and quality of life. That's what they want, right? Meritocracy meaning that, you need to be looked at based on your own merits, not because you have what we call here ordal
or connections,
or insiders.
So you're saying overseas they base their promotions and their job placement more on
fairly, in a more fair basis. But
That's
here,
not a good thing here. Then.
you need to have some people. You need to pull strings to get ahead in a way.
Kinda.
It feels like that. But although in international institutions, it might not be like that, but many in national domestic companies, you still feel that way. If you are somebody's...
if you want to go straight into a very good position, Like if you want to go into a very good position, then you kind of, it's better. I'm not going to say you will have to, but it's better to have someone inside the company that could help you.
In Indonesia.
Yeah.
Many times the overseas jobs are better places to live. I mean, the quality of life in Singapore or KL or
But tell me the truth. Would you rather live in Singapore or in Indonesia?
I'm a little more than mature. So,
but I think your answer will be Indonesia, right?
Because it's a different situation for me. But I'm talking young people.
Yeah. I mean, for people with a certain demographic, certain economic groupings, if we can afford the lifestyle, Jakarta is the best.
Exactly.
Indonesia is the best. You've got all these helpers. You've got all these
helps.
Yeah, helps, and things are catching up in terms of facilities, in terms of like good restaurants, good
Social life,
social life, etc. So it's good to live here. Plus, people are friendly.
We are the
You made the
friendliest.
case earlier why it's not good to get the job, and now you're saying the other things factor in, right?
But only for certain demographics. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, the younger
but if
or
you're
the
not,
older ones, you mean it's better?
the older ones, but from economic point of view, like from
The one who's
the one that can
above
afford to live here,
average, I would say.
Yes.
Yeah.
Middle class and up.
the AB.
Well, and cases like Nadiem don't help the situation when young people see it. They said, I'm out, right? But you both, and Candice, you wrap up this segment, do you see signs of hope that would keep young people here at home in the near future?
Yes and no. Yes, because now we have remote jobs, which, allows people to get jobs from overseas, get paid in dollars probably or in other currency, but you get to stay here, which is like cheaper.
Remote work.
Yeah, remote works. And the other part would be if the government would support an ecosystem in which that we young people could, pour out our creativity, and to have some kind of freedom to create things, because like we don't really create here, like Indonesia. We don't lack of talents, I tell you. We just lack of the system and the opportunities. That's all. The talents are like everywhere, you trust me, like from any kind of industry. Like if you're talking about creating something, we do have people who do something handmade, and that is very expensive.
Yeah, digital, animation, a lot of different sectors.
Yeah.
What is frustrating here is bureaucracy, red
True,
tapes,
true. Legal
congestion,
system.
traffic congestion, bottlenecks, so many,
the
and I
external
think we
factors,
need to
but
get.
basically the corporate world has to step up. The corporate world has to develop philosophies that encourage young people to stay.
And the
home. That's right.
government. And the government.
Young
it's
people,
private sector mostly.
Young people, they want meaningful life. They don't just go after salaries,
Yeah,
At the end of the day, they want
we would like
have
to
their purpose in
experience,
life,
and to be known, or to be, I want to achieve something out of me, not because out of my connections or out of my.
Well, we have to have hope, otherwise the brain drain will continue.
Very hopeful.
Okay.
About Indonesia,
Yeah.
and I
And
think
you too.
there are many young people
Well,
who would rather stay here
that's
now.
good to hear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
More Hot Indo is ahead. On the ball, the phenomenon of paddle, just a sweaty photo op.
Setiap organisasi memiliki potensi yang besar yang menunggu untuk dibangkitkan. Pradaim didirikan oleh para ahli bersertifikasi. Kami hadir untuk mengembangkan mindset dan keterampilan manusia dengan kurikulum custom, interactive learning, dan metode coaching yang relevan dengan kebutuhan perusahaan. Hasilnya adalah perubahan nyata dalam performa, komunikasi, dan budaya kerja.
Paradigm. We don't teach, we educate.
Aku melihat bahwa masih banyak hewan peliharaan yang itu tuh masih menggunakan produk-produk manusia, dan aku menginisiasi Anima supaya bisa menghasilkan obat-obatan untuk hewan. Ikut program Indonesian itu di pertengahan tahun gitu. Waktu aku konsultasikan, mereka sangat mendukung gitu kan untuk bisa mengekspansi pasar ini ke luar Jabodetabek atau luar Jawa lah gitu kan.
You're watching Hot Indonesia from Jakarta. Here's hot topic number 3 on the ball. It derives from traditional tennis, but is very different. Paddle uses a solid racket in an enclosed space that allows playing off the walls. In just 2 years, nearly 400, some say more, paddle courts have been built in Jakarta alone, a boom that's required city regulation and operating limits. Now, paddle, P-A-D-E-L, as opposed to paddle tennis, which I played in my youth, and that was P-A-D-D-L-E. Different sports.
Oh, right. I didn't realize there is a different
huge
thing.
trend.
Okay.
I mean, every block, right? You see paddle courts
Almost
going
now,
up,
yeah.
facilities. In this area alone, there's 2 around the corner.
Oh my God, around my
Two coming
neighborhood,
up.
2
Okay.
were popping up now.
So we go to the paddle promoter, Candice. The latest, is this just the latest of Indonesia's physical fitness fads? And you brought your racket, or it's just a trend like high-end bicycling? Remember, everybody got the expensive bikes and Pilates, or of course.
Pilates.
I do Pilates too,
Is it
Ibu, by the
just,
way.
is it just a fad, and we'll see it end in a couple of months?
CrossFit,
CrossFit, High Rocks is coming.
Yeah.
Yes and no, because paddle, unlike tennis.
Give me an answer, Candice. Is it?
Seriously, because there are like, I would separate 3 different players of a paddle players. The first one would be the ones who are FOMOs, fear of missing out. So of course the social media are, crazy about that. The second would be like people who has a different, like from tennis player trying out this one, badminton players trying out this one, because this is like a new sport. It's very exciting, and then it's like very addictive, and it's easy entry barrier for this sport. Like, like maybe one time you can hit a little bit, it's not like tennis, you have to learn a few months. And then the third one are the legitimate players. So,
but it's a new sport. How can you be a legitimate player if it's just kind of a new thing?
No, because I like it because it's now becoming a lifestyle, like a healthier lifestyle.
Oh, see, and that's what I'm saying. It's
Yeah.
more of a lifestyle trend where people go and gather. They have nice outfits. They have drinks on the court. They eat a little snack, a little pisang goreng.
Not me, but
So maybe I'm being a little cynical when I say it's just a photo op, but Yenny, I mean, are your friends playing? Is your family trying it? I mean, what % do you actually see that they go out to play the sport?
I've got friends who like her.
Every day?
Play every day. But it's very interesting because, before people will line up to get
the court,
to get the court
Yeah.
until past midnight. But now it's actually dwindling
Everywhere.
down.
It's
everywhere.
Because
So
people
the
are building
supply-
courts,
the
which is
supply-
cheap, yeah?
There's an office supply
Yeah.
now. But you know what, Dalton? Anything that gets people off the couch, off their gadgets, and
True.
scrolling through social media,
I'm up
I think
for
it's a
it,
good
yeah.
thing.
But
It's
you
a
go
good
to the
thing.
court, everyone's on their gadget. They're taking photos for IG.
well, why not?
That's okay. I
not?
mean, if it gets people to come here.
Half the time they're taking
It's a
photos.
promotion. It's a promotion. That's okay.
No, I
It's
agree with you. If it's a healthy thing, and at least half the time they're playing, then
not
it's
half
okay.
the time. I think you're in the wrong group if if they half the time do that, because the real players, we don't even want to waste any seconds
Okay,
not
well,
playing.
you're a real player because you also play tennis, and you
Yeah,
moved
yeah.
to paddle from tennis.
No, I still do both. I never
Yeah,
move.
that's what I'm saying.
Indonesians are very social, But the thing is with paddle, it's not just the sports, it's the community in a
It's
way.
the social
right?
life.
Well, that's what
you
I'm
know?
saying.
Yeah.
Why do we so readily move and jump into the latest trend?
Yeah, why not?
I think it's part of the growing buying power of the middle class, the growing middle class, because you don't see
Reflects
poor
that as
people,
well.
poor people playing paddle.
But it's also, there's also a bad, well, not a bad connotation. There's also the negative side of paddle. Now there's coming up, we've heard all these terms, things like ani-ani paddle. Or
What does that mean?
paddle gold diggers. So
Something
people
like that.
actually go to the court to find which husbands.
They use
young
that as an opportunity.
Mature, established
Hey, I see
individuals
some
like
here
you.
in the.
You should go
I
to the
see some
paddle
here in the
court
lobby
more.
now. They go everywhere. I think it's the same people.
Probably,
No, I'm just joking.
But, it doesn't matter,
I-
people go to
But
wherever,
I think this is though a big city phenomenon because you don't see paddle courts coming up in the rural areas in the
They're coming,
countryside.
they're coming up, they're
okay,
coming up,
but this
yeah.
is again for middle class and above.
Tier cities, they're starting now.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Not
last
just in
question,
Jakarta, yeah.
Candice, will this activity? How long will this activity survive before the next big thing?
Oh, I think it will survive for some times if you're asking about its survival because, there are international championships going on right now, tournaments. And Indonesia, I think we are investing in some local athletes right now, like new athletes to go abroad here and there for tournaments.
Olympic sport. I mean, that's what
Not
people.
yet. It will be quite a while before it can be.
Yeah, but
adopted
we
by
do
us.
have
Of
like
course.
ex-professional badminton players, for example, who
Right.
now are competing
You need
against
to create
ups
the
against it.
ecosystem, basically.
Yeah.
If there's
I got
enough
it.
competitions,
Yeah,
enough
yeah, yeah.
athletes.
I'll stick with tennis. Yeah, I still love
It's an
tennis.
I paddle for a little bit as well.
established, sport already.
Let's go.
But
Let's-
paddle
Yeah.
is youngish,
Yeah.
If you want to meet like young ladies,
Candice plays
not
tennis
necessarily
still.
gold diggers,
There are
paddle
young
court
people
Like
might
playing.
be
if
the
it
place.
gets too hot outside and
Yeah,
like
it is outside
yeah,
tennis, yeah.
like
And-
this one is indoor.
Indoor air conditioned.
So
That's why it's so popular for people to
So-
take photos.
Yeah.
Got to move on. It is feedback time now, and we're going to get a lot of this, I'm sure. Sonam in India posted this on Instagram about the latest corruption sentence. Unfair and crazy. We are with you, Nadiem. And Amrullah here in Indonesia said the Nadiem situation should be viewed from the opposite perspective. Failing to take a firm stand signals to investors that justice in this country can be bought. Here's how to contact us with your feedback. Email at hotindo@theindonesiachannel.world or comment through our Hot Indonesia or Indonesia channel, X, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube pages. Final words, Yenny.
Okay, in the spirits of sports, I just want to say that, in the past, I used to accompany my father watching the World Cup, soccer World Cup,
Wow.
right? And now the tradition continues in our home, in which our three daughters actually joining me and my husband to watch the football games, and they're rooting for the different countries, and it's just wonderful. And I just want to say, despite the fact that Portugal had lost and Egypt had lost, I just want to say that, Ronaldo, you remain in my heart, and Mo Salah, and then also Neymar. Oh my God, thank you so much for a great game. And I just want to close with a joke, right? Why can't Cinderella join the soccer game?
Why not?
because
It's always
she has,
avoiding the ball.
It sounds like something your dad would say. Final words, Candice.
people nowadays they can have strong opinions, but the most important is to have stronger curiosities. I think there's so many things you can try out in life. There's so many things you can do, but just have a good time, like have a good life, like enjoy it. I think that's it.
And my final words, we all work hard to survive in a tough world. Earning money for you and your family to live is number one. But doing so with kindness doesn't take much more effort. Treat those you deal with in business as you would want to be treated, and I bet success will come easier. I told you I interviewed your dad, he told me a joke. I mean, I can't repeat that joke, but that's where you got it. And that is Hot Indonesia for this week. For Yenny Wahid and Candice Anggunadinata, I'm Dalton Tanonaka. Thank you very much for watching. Please join us again next time.
This program is presented by the Sarawak Tourism Board. Sarawak, the gateway to Borneo.